because of the questions I was asking even before she even did the autopsy. I was calling in. But, I mean, here's a person in custody. And you want to rule out, for them to rule out that they were not included, a complete autopsy should have been done. And for my clarity.
When you had your autopsy done privately, was that complete?
No. Well, it was more. It was a little more shared. The first autopsy I had done in Atlanta, the medical examiner called me and told me the next day. He said, "Ma'am," the same day, he said, "Miss McGhee," he said, number one, it should have taken her 4 hours to do a complete autopsy on your son. She only did it was like an hour and maybe 15 minutes, and I don't even think it was an hour and a half that she completed the autopsy. And then he said it wasn't thorough, and he was like, I need more photographs, I need more x-rays, but they was not presented to me. At first they told me there weren't even many pictures. But anyhow, he said the markings on my son, he said the handcuffs were more important than the markings on my son, which he didn't go into clarity about. But after me calling him several times and having to hire investigators, I finally got the autopsy report. He did the autopsy in April. I was able to receive the autopsy report in September.
You mean from your private person?
I had to hire investigators, right, from the private person I hired. He told me.
Why would you have to go through those changes with your own private person?
The medical examiner told me that when he said, "Ma'am," he said, "you don't know what I'm going through." That was the first remark he made to me. And then after calling, he said, "Ma'am," he said, "it's impossible for me to give you the report." So he wouldn't give it to me. So like I said, that's when I hired investigators to go after him. And I finally got the report, which he did send that to me after they contacted him. And there were issues of, he said, no fractures on palpation. But he didn't talk about the fractures of the x-ray. He did give me one x-ray. And you could clearly see fractures to the skull. He didn't even talk about the x-ray. He did say markings at straight line abrasions in his back at 45-degree angle. There were markings across his back where he could have possibly been beaten with a billy club. There were straight line abrasions at angles across his back, across his neck, and I think his arm.
Did you ever find out what he meant by you don't know what he's going through? You think he was being intimidated?
Yes. Oh, yes, definitely. As a matter of fact, there was something they told the young man that took the body there. They were trying to scare him when he took the body there. It's like certain people we know that can do things to you. And the man, he never went into detail about it, but he never really just talked to me about it, and that's all that was said. He just happened to be playing pool one day, and a person that knew somebody made a comment to him, but it was, be careful. Okay. So I think a lot of people just were scared. And from the last attorney I hired.
Where was he located, this medical examiner?
He was in Atlanta. Matter of fact, he was a state medical examiner. And at that time I wasn't thinking, I was just trying to get a good medical examiner. He was referred to me by someone that was downtown. Excuse me. But the bad thing about it, he worked for the state, and at that time, I didn't know. I should have just got somebody else besides a state medical examiner. But you would think they would tell him that the truth would have been told. And he wanted to tell the truth. And basically, he was telling me, he said, "Ma'am, I want to help you." He said, "I'm gonna do what I can," and I think he did. He put so much on his report. There were certain things, like I said, on the report that was not on the first report, like the circular compressions around the wrist, around the ankles, just like the ones around the wrist.
Okay. Did he mention the missing teeth or the holes in the body?
No,
that could have been gunshot.
No, he didn't even mention it. No, he just talked about the dark brown spots. He gave it color, but he didn't give it. He didn't say exhume the body a second time, which I went through a hard time getting the body up, but I did. I said the body sent to California, and when the medical examiner first saw the body, he said, "Ma'am," he said, "Stimrich and all his boys have got to go to jail." Okay, that was like on a Monday or Tuesday. September 23rd of 2000, I think it was 2003 or 4. I'm not clear on that date right at this time. But I was called the next day to be depositioned, immediately to be depositioned by the defense. And I thought that was strange. My attorney was like, "Ms. McGhee, they want you there Monday to be depositioned." So before the medical examiner could even give him his report, they were asking me questions about the second autopsy, which I thought it was strange. The attorneys gave them information. He didn't want his information. He didn't want anybody to know his name or number before he released the autopsy report. And they gave the defense the information on this person. And the CEO told me that they had started calling his office. And now this was after he told me that Stemage and all, he said, my son, he said, ma'am, this case is so severe. He even called in an attorney himself, out of California. He said, ma'am, we need a good attorney. He was trying to get Johnny Cochran firm to come in with another attorney that he referred me to, that I spoke with their office. And it's like they knew what had happened, but after they started getting calls, he said, no trauma found. But the photographs of the broken bones, you can clearly see. The bones that just fell apart, I mean, you can clearly see. If the bones were intact, there shouldn't have been any broken areas on the bone. Matter of fact, the feet were missing. But the bones are just, like I said, I mean, they were in small pieces, some of them. And you can see like a burnt mark on the kneecap, where the kneecap was just cut. You can, I mean, it's clearly seen on the photograph. Even the x-rays, you clearly see broken bones, especially the face. There is major fractures to the face. You can see, I mean, even just a normal person knowing what a skull bone looked like could clearly see that the bones were even tampered with. I didn't show him the first skull photograph for a reason, because I didn't trust anybody. And he sent me a photograph of the skull where he recut it. You can tell the bone had been tampered with. He cut the skull trying to make it fit together, where you wouldn't see where it was broken, or had, I guess, been where it was broken. He cut it. I had 2 more medical examiners to look over the photographs. Doctor went out of California, went out of Tennessee, and they clearly stated that it was a homicide. Well, one stated it was a homicide. One stated that the investigation wasn't even complete. They said the medical examiner report was woefully inadequate.
Okay. And nobody in the criminal justice system have been willing to listen to or examine the evidence that you were able to gain from these other sources?
No. All I know was the man Young, the person that was out here that day, and was there when the body was pulled up, and was there in that boat that day surfing the river for the body. Met with FBI agent. And he told me that after meeting with him, he threatened him, and he said the FBI agent and one of the officers that was out there when your son was murdered threatened me. He said, ma'am, don't ever talk to the FBI again. And another young lady who spoke with the NAACP, and the agent supposedly told me, ma'am, she said, I don't think I need to get into this. You know, after she told me and several other people what she heard at the sheriff department. She was working at the sheriff department when the calls came through. She said, ma'am, they murdered your son. She said, I know for a fact because I was listening on the radio at the sheriff department. She said herself and another man, she called his name at that time. I don't remember his name. She said, but I know he's not going to want to get into it. But she said, after they murdered your son, they were laughing when they threw the body in the river and said, what he's going to say now, he's catfish bait. And that corresponds with what the officer told me. That's what he heard on the radio, it was catfish bait.
And how are you today?
Ooh, I feel really good today, Chief. We've had an incredible opportunity to walk in the Macon community, but not just walk in the community, but apply serious attention and attention to the issues that Ms. McGhee has been dealing with over the last 10 years, between 2000 and now 2010, with the death of her son, or the murder of her son, I should say, by what appears to be the police here in Macon, and not any resolve at all for her in terms of honoring his life. And so today we walked with the intention of memorializing his life, her efforts, and all the mothers around the country who are having the same agony. You know, what's happening to their young sons and daughters as they go out into the world in their communities and don't come back home, either through murder or imprisonment. And so that's what today was like. And it felt really good to walk to the spots that played a pivotal role in his last days here in Macon.